Hey everyone, it's Libby from Maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides in the universal energies. Absolute pleasure to have you along. And woohoo, we have thrived another week. Let me just put my protection bracelets on. Just want to say bravo to the Australian students that well, okay. They took a day off school yesterday. Well, they turn up at school a lot more than the Orange Harpy turns up at her job in government. So they took a day off school yesterday by the thousands, and I am talking wall-to-wall street thousands, to protest the racist, misogynistic dictatorship. Oh, just ghastly One Nation Party. And I've just got so much hope for the students of the future. So I'm feeling like doing a hopeful reading this morning. So I'll talk about the generation that's coming through, because they don't put up with no rubbish. Very much also in regards to the pushback about, choosing the bear. If the incel blokes, if all of a sudden birth control is banned and oh, you need to be submissive and all the rest of it. Cross your legs if you don't want to get pregnant. And when they all cross the legs, and choose the bear or the cat instead of the incel blokes, and the incel blokes get awfully upset. Well, bravo to these young women. I am so excited for them. But what I want to have a little quick also laugh at, I'm watching the Clacton by-election, Clacton by C. This is the one that has Count Binface versus Nigel Farage. I do wonder whether he's the ferret head that I was picking up last night, but we'll see. Whether he wins or loses the seat, he still loses. So the fact that literally the parties that were running against him was, you've got Count Binface, who I imagine will get quite a large number of votes, but may not actually cross the line. He's won just by standing up to Farage. What else have we got that ran in that by-election? The Monster Raving Loony Party had 3 candidates: Nick the Incredible Flying Brick, Howling Hope, and Baron von Thunderclap. So, the fact that there was an absolute, the actual mainstream political party said, yeah, we're not interested in this propaganda, look at me, carry on. They didn't run anybody. So the only ones running it against Nigel Farage in Clacton by Sea were these alternate parties, let me put it that way. So polling has only just closed. Farage is already declaring that victory, and that even though counting hasn't barely started, just an absolute arrogance about him. Doesn't even live in Clacton. I believe he actually lives in Germany, of all places, with his wife and children. So what do I want to have a look at? I want to have a look at the student march that happened in Australia, but also our children going into the young people, the Gen Zers going into the future, because us Gen Xers, we're the ones that straddle both. It's not defined to a generation, it's defined to a mentality. And I just want to point out that the gifts I got yesterday as I reread the letters, both of them are teachers, retired teachers who are doing amazing things in their lives. But it's not about generation. Like the girlfriend I went to lunch with the other day, who was up and down the stairs and the intelligent conversation for 3 hours, and has no issues with, driving or catching the train, or she just catches the train because it's easier. Her husband is 88 and he still goes to the gym 3 days a week with a personal trainer to be able to keep himself viably in shape, just for his back strengthening and stuff like that. So I just age is no limit. But what I want to have a look at, so the student march, I'm using the mystical manga cards, because why not? So it's not about an actual generation, it's about a mindset. But what's happening is the Gen Z generation that are coming through now, they're not on social media. They might be on TikTok to share things, but they have fun. It's tongue in cheek. It's part of their community, just like YouTube is part of our community. I do have to chuckle. They're not interested in fake book. They are ditching X. Pinterest is falling by the wayside. This new generation coming through, I have huge hopes for them. What was that? Oh no, it's just something tried to flip over. So I just want to have a look. As I said, there were thousands. What is this future generation bringing for us? What is, and then I'll have a look at the who Ferret Head is, because I don't know. My guides were like, Ferret Head's gone, and I'm like, who's Ferret Head? Ferret Head's gone. Yeah, who was this is me last night, and they wouldn't answer. So let's have a look. I haven't looked to see where the orange idiot is this morning either, but let's have a look. The students, the future. What does the future hold? Now I'm going to do an energies reading here. It's a slightly different layout. Let's have a look. The Knight of Swords, love it. The young people bringing forth this truth, and they are prepared to step up to battle for this. Now I'm not meaning physically battle. Like all other countries around the world, we are really struggling in Australia to get anybody to enrol in our Defence Force, and you can't blame them whatsoever. So then it's not I'm getting the word guerrilla warfare, but it's not fighting. It's using their power. They understand greater than any other generation that has gone before the power of their personal choices. Interestingly enough, I keep saying us Gen Xers, we are here. So the boomer gens are there to be the wise, emotionally mature elders. Us Gen Xers, we're the generation that straddles the tech, no tech period. It was in my late teens, in my late teens that we started computer programming and having mainframe computers and things like that. My father, when I was growing up, he had a technology company for a brief period of time there, and he actually had one of the very, very first portable computers. It looked like a big sewing, portable sewing machine that he would carry around, and it had a screen on it about this big, square, with this big box around it. And at home we used to put the phone into a particular box and dial up into the mainframe via a number, and I used to play word games on it. When I say word games, it would be like turned left, pick up bucket, things like that. I used to play games on it for hours. So being Gen X, we straddle the two technologies, but the Gen Zs, boy, they know where it's at. So come on down. And I do love the card on the bottom, the Sun card, the youth, in their joy, but also really shining a light on what is important. Okay, so we've got this Knight of Swords. Warriors at an intellectual level is what I'm getting there. Okay, the second card I've got is because they are connected around the world. They see the broad horizons. They understand the broad horizons. They have friends, and just like you and I on YouTube, they see the big picture. They see the big picture, and they know people around the world. Actually, interestingly enough, my one of my stepdaughters, decades ago, met her partner through playing an online computer game. lived in completely separate cities. It's a bit like pen paling, pen paling back in the old day. Yeah, they're not confined by borders. They see the big picture, the broader horizon. Okay, the energy behind the scenes, Knight of Coins. Okay, this is about movement forward, not move, the inability. So the energy behind the scenes is very much about the inability to move money, is what I'm getting from that. Basically, because they don't have any. They can't afford housing, they can't afford healthcare. This It's almost like a bottleneck of finances, and they see this clearly. They understand, as I said, that they don't have an adoration. Now, I'm not talking about all of them. There's some that will be outside this, but it's very much, you've got the huge student march against within Australia. I call her the Orange Harpy, and those that are Australian will know who I'm talking about. She's our version of the Orange Idiot in the US. They see right through her and her attachment with the uber wealthy, and that's the mining magnate or mining magnates, Clive and Gina. Yeah, they see through it, and they see that it's not how it should be. It's causing a bottleneck here. So our Orange Harpy, she appeals to some Gen Xers and Boomers, those that have still got an adoration for wealth. It's this, you too can be a multi-billionaire, which is the biggest load of BS that anybody ever tried to sell. They see right through that. They see that that's not how economies operate, how finances operate. Okay, let's see where we go. Yeah, they look at the world from a different point of view. They see it differently. They see more than what the carpetbagger money hoarders believe that they see. The disconnected carpetbagger money hoarders think that they see. Okay, we need someone in our government who understands that this different point of view, that the youth that are coming through now see a bigger picture, from a different point of view, but they don't have this, I too can be, if I work hard enough at 70 hours a week or something, I too can be. And what I'm noticing with the younger people too is that where they work, as long as they are respected and the work is comfortable for them, they don't really mind too much. A lot of them, I mean, there are some that are career orientated, but I'm finding the majority are actually more focused on life outside of work. As long as where they have representation, they are respected and they are paid decently, they're not too fussed about what the work actually is, as long as it enables them to have their life outside of work. Okay, let's see where we go. Okay, so the energy coming out of this Knight of Coins is, yes, they do see the mercenary actions of certain individuals, and they're more astute with their money. This Four of Pentacles, they're more astute they understand their worth. Thank you. They understand their worth, and they will withhold their labour if they don't feel that they are being recompensed worthy. Now, I may just be talking about in Australia, but what's happening is you get these parasitic carpetbaggers saying, oh, people don't want to work. Well, they do actually want to work. They just don't want to work for a pittance that means that they can't survive. They would rather not work and explore life for themselves than receive a wage that cannot be lived on. So yeah, this is about understanding their worth. Okay. And this Hanged Man, you've got the Emperor taking control of their lives for them. They will not be dictated to. I'm just going to say that. They will not be dictated to. They view these dictators differently. Those that say you have to. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything. They're viewing this completely different, and they're saying no. Those that say, oh, you have to have a career as a lawyer or a doctor or something like that, they're like, no, I don't. No, thank you. They're finding their own path. Okay, the energy over them, the star of hope and healing, the star of nurturing, the star of something brighter, something greater, because we've got the Three of Swords, because they are feeling, there's a feeling of betrayal by the generations that have gone before. And I completely understand that. In a lot of ways, the generations that have gone before, because we haven't necessarily taken the best interests to heart and put in guidelines and boundaries. I mean, we have had the hottest July on record. So every year, I think it's 8 out of the last 10 years have been record hot years, not a record previously. It's just this year's the hottest year. Next year's hotter than that year. The year after is hotter than that year. Absolutely, they feel like that the generations have gone before have betrayed them. And so why should they listen to us? I don't have an issue with that. Okay. The Page of Swords, the youth bringing forward new ideas, new messaging, new plans, new intellect, new way of doing things, standing up for their rights. As I said, you've got this Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords. I have no issues whatsoever with the youth bringing forward their sword of truth and exposing the swamp, exposing the failings, shining a light on what was previously hidden. But the moon can also be a good card. It is very much about finding the path forward, and it's not necessarily an easy path, but once things are exposed by the light of the moon. Now, this protest was yesterday, the student march, and it was an eclipse yesterday as well. So very much this eclipse season is incredibly powerful. So this is about shining a light on what is, the word my guides are giving me are unworthy on the swamp. And only once the light is shone can the path forward be revealed. Okay. Ten of Swords. You can't hurt us anymore. This figure is still standing. It's got the 10 swords in the back, but it is moving towards, in this particular deck, I go very much, I mean, in all my decks, I go by the imaging. Again, thigh deep in, well, it's almost like a cleansing water, because this one's a swamp amongst, like when you used to have the sewer running down the streets of the villages of old. This one is clean water, heading out through the straits to this new sunrise. So you've got the sunrise, but the Ten of Swords can also mean they're not down. They just cannot be, there's nothing more that can be done to hurt them. And they're moving forward with such, and boy, oh boy, are they bringing their judgment, and so they should. Bringing forward judgment about this hurt, about this devil energy. Now, these two, you've got the same, oh no, that's the Lovers, but it's almost like it's the same two figures. The devil, those that, exposing those that tied themselves to the devil, that has left them feeling disenfranchised, locked out, but also the moral, financial, ethical corruption of those that tied themselves to this devil energy. You've got the anguish, the nightmare, and they are rejecting what is being offered. And I can't blame them, and then stepping into their King of Swords energy, because times are absolutely changing with that wheel of fortune. The wheel is turning and they are stepping forward in strength. I love this outcome. I mean, it's a horrible bit in the middle here for them, but I think they have, with this Judgment card, they have their eyes wide open about this corruption, this the falsehoods, the deviousness, the ghastliness. They are, as I said, feeling disenfranchised, locked out financially. But the Nine of Swords here, it can be the anxiety, it can be the despair, but it's also dealing with that and then saying, yeah, there is a lot of anxiety amongst young people, absolutely, because what jobs are there going to be? How are they going to be able to afford housing, etc.? I completely understand that. There's a lot of anxiety, but they are rejecting it. They are rejecting it. They are bringing their power forward with the King of Swords. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Times are changing and they are stepping forward in strength, and strength in numbers, with that Two of Cups working together to tear down what was so it can be rebuilt. Tearing down this way of operation, this mercenary money way, so that it can be rebuilt. Okay, and then as I said, we've got the sun on the bottom, the sun shining, them exposing, revealing, putting their word out there. You've got the smoke and mirrors for those that have the hidden agendas to keep the wealth in the top 1%. Ooh, 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 it is the ending for these. The youth are bringing forward their energy. They are working together across boundaries because they're at the point where they can't be hurt anymore. So therefore they step into their power, reject the status quo, and decide their future. I know there's a lot of awful cards there, but I feel incredibly hopeful for the youth that are coming through. They understand they are bringing death to this money grubbing. It's been revealed. They understand it more than any other generation that is of age. I mean, these were school students, high school students. They are the ones coming through. They are the future, and they understand it more than anybody who is of age, and they are bringing hope. They sit in hope. They sit in healing. They sit in a completely different energy to the generations that have gone before. I'm actually really, really positive and excited about those coming through. And this by-election in Clacton is a perfect example. I'll just see if I can get a live update on that. A perfect example. I mean, when you have this old, corrupt, far-right, furious Farage declares victory but erupts at the establishment. The counting's barely what's he said? He said, asked if he had won, he told GB News, yes, very convincingly, I've managed to beat the establishment candidate. Count Benface, an establishment candidate? Yeah, I don't think so. Counting is still underway. The results aren't expected for, another, what are we looking at, 9 hours for final results. He's lost whichever way it goes because the fact that a dude with a trash can on his head in a spacesuit, uh, even if Farage technically wins the ballots, he's still lost because of the fact of the publicity that Count Binface got, the support that Count Binface got, and Farage will still be under investigation for corruption. So doesn't matter if he technically wins, he's still lost, and Count Binface has won. But this is the future. I'm actually really excited. So happy Friday, and I shall catch you shortly. We might look at a few. I'm not going to look at bird flu in Australia at the moment. We were the last continent to get bird flu. It has now arrived. The government is undertaking for vulnerable flocks, etc., capture and vaccination. So, for example, the fairy penguins that are flightless, but they come back each day to a particular point. The fairy penguins, the free-range eggs are now allowed to be barn-raised, but still called free-range if they've got enough space. Just things like that are happening at the moment. So I'm not going to have a look at bird flu. There's a lot coming out. I actually can see that within Australia we are going to develop a vaccine that can be in seed. I don't know why it hasn't been done before. I know injections the best way, but I mean the polio vaccine used to be by mouth, and I can see there will be a vaccine that can be given out via either sugar syrup for nectar pollinators, nectar birds, or seed for seed birds. So I'm just going to leave that at that, and we'll have a look at some other things. So catch you shortly. Bye bye.